Hello, YouTube theologians. This is Sunday Drive to Church, and I thought I'd record this as just a short, but it was too long, so I'm just doing a normal video. And this isn't the typical content for our channel, and this is very spur of the moment. And I don't have a fancy car mount like Jared, so maybe I'll buy one with some patron money. But I thought I'd record this because I'm driving to church this morning, and my wife has a migraine, so she's at home with our newborn, and it's just me and the toddler in the car, and she's being quiet. So I thought I could record a video in the meantime. And as I'm recording, it's the last Sunday of the church year, which in certain liturgical traditions is a commemoration of the faithful departed from the parish from the past year. So this is distinct from the other liturgical festivals of commemoration for the dead, but because it's the last Sunday, I thought I would talk about all of them, considering the others happened recently too. And today is known as Totenfest in the Prussian tradition. And in the Prussian Union, when the Lutherans and Reformed were forced to unite, some new holidays arose, among them Totenfest. And so technically this is a unionist holiday, but seeing as Prussia no longer exists, and I'm not sure any Reformed churches still celebrate this, and the only Lutheran churches I know of that do this is my own, well, it's effectively a Lutheran holiday now, I suppose. And on Totenfest, for every member that died in the past liturgical year, the bell is rung in the church during Mass. And this is some people celebrate this same sort of rite on All Saints' Day, which would be November 1st, which I'll get to in a moment. But I thought I would talk about all of these in general and discuss commemoration of the faithful departed a bit. And I do apologize if my toddler is making some sound in the background. But the main four holidays we're talking about are Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, which is, All Saints Eve, that is. But you can see how the name gets there. All Saints Eve is same as All Hallows Eve, which becomes All Hallows Even in early modern English. It has even with an N on the end. And the V gets dropped when you're slurring your words, so it becomes All Hallows Een. And then you drop the all, and you drop the S in Hallows, and it becomes Halloween. And traditionally, this would have been a vigil the night before All Saints Mass. So you'd have Halloween vigil, and then All Saints, and then the third day you'd have All Souls. And in the Middle Ages, All Souls was abused, and it was a festival, or rather a feast, or might be getting those flipped now. Anyhow, it's a celebration for purgatory. It's Mass celebration for purgatory, and the idea is you're praying for souls, to bring them out of purgatory faster. And in churches like Zion's, which is my church, we've reformed that feast to have a different emphasis, and it's similar to All Saints, but with a different emphasis than All Saints is. And All Saints is a commemoration of all the saints because the liturgical calendar got very packed in the Middle Ages, because there were so many saints. Really, every day we had a saint day, and so you didn't really have room to stick any more saints on, and so you had to have a catch-all day for all the saints that you weren't commemorating on the normal liturgical calendar. So it became All Saints. And we can still celebrate these services in the church today, and many Lutheran churches do still celebrate All Saints, but with the errors of Rome purged from them. There's nothing wrong with celebrating a holiday that has been cleansed from the papist errors. And so we can do that too. And what this consists in typically is simply calling to mind those who have gone before us in the faith, remembering what they have passed down to us, remembering their holy lives, etc. And we can even pray for the faithful departed. We're not praying for them to be removed from purgatory, but we are commemorating them. We're thanking God for them. So in that sense, we are praying for them. And similarly, even for those who are departed faithful, or maybe in an uncertain state, there's nothing wrong necessarily about praying for them. The Book of Concord says that we do not forbid prayer for the dead. And maybe this seems like a superfluous practice, and perhaps it is superfluous, at least in terms of, we're not praying someone out of purgatory. But for the sake of conscience of people, I don't think it's a bad practice at all. And I think it does bring comfort to people to, ask God to deliver his promises. When we do things in our lives, we will ask God for things that he has already promised to us, and we know he is faithful to his promises, and yet we still pray for him to fulfill those promises. And so there's nothing wrong with doing that in this situation either. So we can pray for God to deliver his saints into heaven, and that is not problematic. And Luther himself does this. Luther himself also will say things, and this is not an exact quote, but I am paraphrasing slightly from memory, but he says something along the lines of, if this soul is accessible to grace, then deliver it, in mercy. And something along those lines is acceptable, because it's a pious thought, and it brings consolation to the soul, and that is one of the primary purposes of prayer. And so this is not a wrongful practice, and there is at least some tentative scriptural warrant with Paul praying for Onesiphorus, for example, who appears to be faithfully departed in the text, and similarly in Maccabees, which is deuterocanonical, but nonetheless, is part of our Bible, and it's also a practice of the early church. It's very early. You see it in the 2nd century. So, this is not a bad thing at all, when it's done for the sake of conscience and in an orthodox manner. So for Totenfest would be the 4th of these, and I've already explained what Totenfest is for, but I figured I would record this for today because it is Totenfest, and simply talk about the right ways of commemorating the faithful departed in our tradition. And I do think this is something that would be good to bring back in our churches that have lost it, for the fact that it is important to remember our heritage and remember those who have gone before us, because it's an important part of our faith. Without those who came before us delivering the faith to us in a truthful manner, we would not have true doctrine, and we ourselves may not have been brought to the font of baptism. And so it's something we should thank God for, and I think we've lost that, and I think it's something somewhat profound to meditate on, that God has brought those before us to bring us to faith, and that those in heaven are still praising God in the same celebration that we are when we celebrate on Sundays, as we say in all of the proper prefaces of the Mass, with angels and archangels and all the company of heaven. And there are various modifications to that throughout the liturgical year. And so we remember that those in heaven are indeed still alive, and they are still praying and praising God along with us, which is exactly what we see in the book of Revelation, as well as in things like in Maccabees, where Onias the priest is in heaven and praying for Israel. So that's all I have for today. Not quite the usual content. I'll maybe this will get posted on a Wednesday or something, or maybe it'll get posted on a Saturday if we really don't have a video. But I figured I would record this right now. I think Jared has a video anyway for Saturday, so maybe this will come out on Wednesday. And I hope everyone has a good end of the church year and preparing for Advent. That goes well. And a feast of St. Andrew, the first day of the Missal, November 30th. That's all.